Just everything on here. Okay. So now what you're gonna do, I'm gonna do the center front feet. I'm gonna sew the center front casing first. So what I'm gonna do. Okay. What I'm gonna do first is I'm gonna measure the casing. So I'm gonna use this casing first, so you guys can see how it goes step by step. So I'm gonna measure my casing with the boning inside if it comes with it. If you're gonna use the plastic boning. If not, just measure the casing. So what I wanna do is that I wanna be away about 1/2 inch from the bottom and 1/2 inch from the top. The reason is because I have only a 1/4 seam allowance, so I don't wanna catch it. So I'm gonna measure there, that's where it is. Sorry, can somebody give me the big scissors?
My scissors right here.
Oh, are you sure? Are your fabric scissors? No. I don't want the key. Yeah. But you see, if it doesn't cut properly, it can cause your scissors to have like, you can hear it. Okay, it looks like a little teeth, like jagged. Okay, so now you have this here. So now what you're gonna do is that you're gonna take out completely the boning, and then you're gonna only have the casing by itself. See? Okay. So then you're gonna put it on top. This side is the bottom where the chain is. You want that at the bottom. The reason is because if the chain gets snagged, even though you have a stitch, this can unravel and it can cause a little bit of problems. So what you're gonna do is that you're gonna start from the top. You're gonna start from the bottom because that's where you're gonna put the boning, from the bottom up. So you're gonna start from the bottom and you're gonna sew stitch in a ditch, meaning you're gonna try to sew into the ditch, making sure this casing is aligned in the middle of your seam. Does that make sense? So from there you're gonna sew. Oh my god, you guys are slime suck. Like ours is like this. Okay. Okay, sorry, what's press? Okay, so make sure you stitch in a ditch. What you're gonna do is that you want to line up this edge to the very edge of the inside of the foot, or about at least 1/8 or half of that.
So just stitching the same place.
Yeah, see? If you look over here, it's right there, stitch in a ditch. When you get closer to here, this is when you're going to slow it down and you're going to pivot your stitch. You're going to make sure it's down, inward, and you're going to move this over, and then you're going to go across. You don't have to use the foot, you can go manually. You just want to make sure that it's anchored down. Make sure you get into the stitch again. Lock it down. Okay, and then you're going to pivot it again. So you're going to stitch in a ditch. See, so now you can see that this is tied down. See? It's like one-sided. And it's closed on the top. So if I put my boning in, it won't go through. It's covered. So I'm going to stitch in a ditch again. So I'm pushing this to the side. Sorry, I'll go slow. All the way down. Back stitch. Oh, I forgot this one. Okay, so pass this around for you guys can see both of the sides, how it is. It's a square on one side, and it looks like a tape on the other side with the bottom open. So go ahead and put it on. It's by itself or day 5. Yeah, pretty much. And then we're going to put the plastic boning first, and then we're going to go to the metal boning. Then we're going to go to sewing this boning in, and then we're going to go to sewing it on the seam. Oh my god, it's all taped together in this case. But in reality, you want to make it shorter. I made mine too short, but you want to make sure it's like shorter by 1/4 from the tip. So when you put it in, another thing, do you know how the boning bends? You see that?
No.
So you want this part, this curved part, to be on the body. Does anybody know why?
Can we go the opposite way?
So it can push towards the body, yeah. Because if I put it this way, even though it'll stand, it'll bulge out and it'll make me look bigger than I should. It's a weird optical illusion. So I know for a fact that this is gonna be on my body here, so I'm gonna put this towards this way. Okay? So if you notice, it should fit through evenly and nicely. And I'm gonna push it all the way through, and then I'm gonna close the case. And I'm just gonna tuck the bottom. Without getting my finger. I'm scared you, sorry. What's going on? No, this is worse. So it's completely cased in. You see that? So that's one type of tape. So now the second one is this guy. Okay? I'm gonna put him in here because I wanna show you the different ways of sewing in certain areas. I'm gonna use this. Yeah. I took it and I didn't take it. So in this one, you're gonna do the same thing. You're gonna measure the area, this tape. If you notice it, I'm putting it with the surface, flat surface on the top, meaning all this junk is gonna be inside. So what I'm gonna do is that I'm gonna measure where I want it. So I want it to go maybe like this much because I want my boobs to be pushed in there. That's the whole purpose of this one. So I'm gonna measure it to be also the same distance. So it's like around here. Cut this tape. So make sure it's like about ½ an inch away from the bottom, pushing it up, and you want it to be as close as possible to here, but not too much because you don't want to nick the other boning. So we're gonna cut it there. This is if you're going to do extra reinforcement. Okay? Okay, so you're going to do the same thing again. Make sure you place it properly where you want it. If you have to pin it, I recommend it. Boning is put in certain places to emphasize the body. The closer to the center front of your body, the more narrow looking you look. The closer apart from your bust, the more the bust is accentuated to a certain point. So I'm going to start from the bottom up like we did before, making sure I'm only sewing about 1/8, lining it up on the side of my foot. And I want to make sure I hold it nicely because this is on the bias, it might move. So just keep that in mind. Back stitch just for security purposes. Just keep going 1/8 all the way. Oh no. Make sure you catch that 8 because it will suck if you don't. This one's a little harder in the aspect of when you catch the 8th because if you don't, you're gonna have a hole, and if you go more than 1/8, then your boning doesn't fit. Make sure you anchor it down, pivot it, just like the other one. So I can already see that I need a little more than 1/8 on the top, so I'm gonna fit it all the way through. So make sure you go across, back stitch. Make sure you line it up at 1/8 as well. And then you're gonna make sure you follow the edge of your tape to the very edge of the foot on the inside wall. Does that make sense? Your foot's like this, so you want to line it up here. So my bias is a little crooked, but it makes sense, see? So it's done like that. You push it in. Then you have to make sure you measure how much. This is how I did it. I pushed it in. I have this whole tail thing there. What I'm going to do is that I'm going to push this up with my nail, and I'm going to pull it. So I know I have about 1/4 less than I should. Then I'm going to clip it there on each side. You can have your bonings pre-cut, But I always recommend that you don't do that, especially with coil boning, because you never know. So from there, I should be putting the cap here, but because I'm lazy and I don't want to look at my bag, I'm just going to push it in and I'm going to close it in. So make sure I seal off my bottom. Ta-da. Okay. So you can tell if you want to pass it around while I set up for the next one. Well, I'm going to show you how to smop. I already set up, so probably like in 30 more minutes after you guys are